All right, hi everyone. My name is Stacy. I'm a community engagement director with Mental Health Society of Greater Victoria. Today we are joined with Emma and Ella. Emma and Ella, hi. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having us.
Yes.
So to get started, can you just tell us a little bit about yourselves?
Me first?
Yes.
I'm Ella. I'm 18. I'm in college to be a child and youth counselor. Yeah, we started this Facebook page that blew up. I had fairly poor experience at Royal Jubilee Hospital and their Psych Emerge, and quickly realized that I probably wasn't the only one that experienced that, and just wanted to raise awareness and make sure that people knew what was going on, as well as trying to create some change, and hopefully PES can improve the services that they're providing.
Yeah. I'm Emma. Co-founder of the page. That's kind of fun. I'm 19. We're in the same college program to both be actually working in the mental health field. Yeah.
That's great. And for those that don't know or aren't familiar, can you please share your experience that you had at the Royal Jubilee?
Yeah, so I first went to Royal Jubilee Hospital, I think 2-ish years ago. My first experience, I went in voluntary, meaning I went in voluntary, I guess. Yeah. That experience wasn't great because they said that I would never be admitted because of a BPD diagnosis, but that was fine. And then the next couple of times I went in with police or ambulance, and every single time the nurses just didn't care. They don't care about anybody. They were really cold. They didn't talk to anybody. They discharged me even though I was like begging for help at that point, saying like I wouldn't be safe, whatever. And I just went home. Actually, one of the times I was brought in after a suicide attempt, and I went into PES that same day and discharged that same day after trying to take my life, and they gave me the rest of the pills back that I wasn't able to take at the time. And I feel like that was just like a big like F you. Yeah. But yeah.
It's pretty bad.
Wow,
Yeah.
I can't believe that.
Yeah.
Yeah. The first time I went to Jubilee was about a year ago in April after a suicide attempt, and I bypassed PES. I went straight up to a medical floor, and they kept me for a few days. And once I was medically stable, discharged me, basically said like nothing inpatient was going to help me. And that was really shocking because when I was in the child and youth system, I would spend like 3 months in hospital after attempt and making sure that I felt safe and my family had a safety plan. And so that was really, really hard. And then the next time I went to PES, again, voluntary. I think a lot of people go voluntary the first time. And then basically I went in, they told me that it was teenage emotions. A psychiatrist said that would be better when I was 25. And I've had some family problems in the past, and basically said that if I killed myself, my dad wouldn't care. That was horrible to hear. And I was like, okay, I'm never going back here voluntary. And then the next time I went to PES was after a suicide attempt. And again, they kept me in the ER till I was medically stable. They transferred me to PES. And again, because of my diagnosis of BPD, they said, like, I'm not admitting you. There's nothing we can do here. And they discharged me. And it was just like really shocking, the minimal effort that they took to make sure I was safe and make sure that I was cared for.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Like that actually brings tears to my eyes hearing both of you guys talk about that. I'm so sorry that that happened to you, and I can't believe that really. Um, so since that incident, I know you guys have got a lot of media over that, meetings with the premier. Has anything changed, or is there a plan for anything to be changed?
Yeah. So we had all those meetings with the premier. They said that they were too high up to do anything. We met with their assistants like a couple weeks later. They said they would get back to us. We haven't heard from them yet.
They said talking to PES directly would be our best bet.
Yeah. And so we've been talking to PES. They've recently hired a new director to take over inpatient stuff. And we've been hopeful that that will create some change. We've just got information that PES is actually flooded, and it will be closed for 4 to 6 weeks.
Yeah.
So currently, I guess patients are just going up into normal ER and then maybe going up to a floor. We're not quite sure, but yeah, so that's kind of interesting. We've been having bi-weekly meetings with, her name's Tasha, the new director. And we've been having bi-weekly meetings with her and Kelly Reed. And I don't know what's going to come out of those meetings now, considering PES is kind of on pause, I would say. But yeah, not anything concrete. We've had stories recently that's like, we've had a few stories being like, the nurses actually talked to me when I was crying, and we're like,
didn't tell me to stop crying.
And I was like, oh, good. They're doing their job. And then we've had stories basically being like, I was discharged. I was told there was nothing they could do for me. I got in a crisis line and they put me out the door. And then somebody was like, they gave me taxi fare. They paid for a taxi to get home. And I was like, that's what they should do, not just like leave you on the side of the road. So little things have changed, but I don't see any like actual changes. I think it's hard because we haven't gone back to PES, and so we don't have firsthand experience of exactly what it's like now, but yeah.
What can people do to help make a change? Like, is there anything that myself, anybody else in the community could be doing to help?
I think keep raising awareness. I think we're going to try to make a petition. We're really, really pushing for a public inquiry. That's the right word, inquiry. Because if VHA is investigating VHA, like nothing really is going to change. We need somebody on the outside being like, hey, here's the issues. These need to be addressed. And just, I think a huge piece throughout has been accountability. And I think that's a way accountability will happen. So we're hoping to put out a petition with some help of some other folks. And I guess just like making sure that this stays in people's news feeds and this stays present in front. And so doing interviews like this is amazing because brings people's awareness back to our issue.
And keeping pressure on the government as well, which we will be trying to do as well.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. What advice do you have for anybody that's seeking help, or maybe it's just struggling right now?
Yeah, I think it's like cheesy to say, but like just keep reaching out. Like you are going to find somebody who's going to care, and it might not be a mental health professional. It might be like your teacher or your coworker or your boss, but keep reaching out because there will be somebody that cares. And I think right now when people are going to go seek help, they seek help when they think they need it. So when they're in a crisis, but you need to seek help before you're at the crisis. And I think it's really, really hard to do that, but lean on people around you. And it doesn't need to be a mental health professional that helps you. It can be your friend, it can be your family, but there is somebody out there that's going to care.
Yeah, and if you do go to a professional, or if you do go to PES and you felt invalidated or worse than when you went in, know that that's not your fault, that you're not alone. We have 2,000 people on our page that have the exact same experience. So just know, like, it's not your fault.
Parts. Can you just tell us a little bit about your Facebook group that you started?
Yeah, so we started this Facebook group at the end of February. We've brought in people to PES ourselves, and we brought our really good friend to PES, and we stayed with her, and they're like, oh, they're going to keep, it was like 12 o'clock, and they're like, oh, we're going to keep her to the morning, so you girls should go home and get some rest. And not even 2 minutes after we got home, we got a phone call from her, and she was crying, and she's like, they left me on outside of PES in the cold and the rain. They did
4 a.m.
And we took her personal stuff. So we took her phone and her bag because we knew she wasn't going to be able to have it there. And so they just like let her outside. She had to like wander back into the ER to find a phone. And she was just like sobbing, and it was 4 o'clock. And we're like, this is not okay.
Well, we found her outside by herself in the dark at 4 a.m. in the cold with literally nothing.
And she was like expressing suicidal ideation, and like, thank goodness she called us, but that could have been the end of her story. And so I think that really like urged us, like after like our 3 experiences and hearing a couple others more public, we're like, this, like something needs to happen. And Emma's mom actually had the idea of creating a page and being like, try to get people's story together. And I remember we had like, we wanted to have 400 members when we went and talked to the premier. So we could be like, we have 400 people of your like people that look up to you. Like, what are you doing about it? And now we have 2,000 and nothing's changed. We're like, do we need like the whole entire province to like make a difference? And so, yeah, it kind of blew up from there and just having media attention and stuff. But I think throughout this whole thing, just like coming back to the fact that this page is specifically for Royal Jubilee Hospital. But we acknowledge that the issue is greater than just Jubilee, but as 2 people, it's hard to try to change the whole mental health system. You have to start somewhere, but hopefully it's like a domino effect and other things change.
Yeah, well, you've got a great starting point there. Can you just mention what is the Facebook group if anybody wants to follow?
It's called PES and then
colon?
A pathetic excuse for support, which like a play on words for the psychiatric emergency services. Yeah.
I thought
that was so funny. Yeah.
No, I think that's great. Just as we wrap up here, is there anything else that either one of you wanted to add or share with our followers?
I just would like stress that you're not alone. There is so many people that are struggling, but there's so many people who want to support people, and so reach out. And it's scary because right now it feels like there's nobody to reach out to, but you will find somebody too, and just lean on those people. And we always say, we have a quote tattooed on ourselves: today means amen, and it comes from a poem, and one of the lines is, nothing would be the same if you did not exist. And I just always like resonate with that, and the world would be so different if we lost another beautiful soul. So stay. At least I'll hold the hope for you if you can't, but you're wanted.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that. That's great. That's that's a great way to end this interview today. And thank you guys so much for doing this and being with us here today.
Yeah, thank you.